Hello, we are here with Alex Lee. He is a former Pitt alum and currently a production assistant and assistant editor at WQED. So welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, so Alex, when did you go to Pitt?
I went to Pitt in 2008 and I graduated in 2012.
All right, yeah. Awesome. And so when you came in, what was your major?
When I came in originally, my major was, I believe, psychology.
Oh, classic.
Right. Or actually, I was. What do you call that? Undefined? Not
undeclared.
Undeclared.
Yeah.
And then I went into psychology, and then proceeding after that, I went into sociology because I started up a club in University of Pittsburgh called One Life, One World, One Peace at that time.
Okay.
Right, and it dealt with a lot of intersectionality and trying to better the world by connecting youth from different parts of the world together. And the mission statement of by knowing people in different areas of the world, you are able to reduce the scope in which conflict can reside in. So let's say, like one example that we had was, let's say if we had Facebook during the time of Rwanda, the Rwanda genocide, right? It wouldn't have been such a secret for like the several months that it occurred if there was such communication.
So you're working at WQED now. So at some point, I'm guessing you had a major that was more geared towards maybe film.
Yeah.
Is that?
Well, I mean, like after I set up the club, there's a little bit of falling out, and I decided to go into. I decided to keep my sociology major, and then also pursue a bachelor's in film studies.
All right, and so what brought you to film studies? Like, what interests you about that?
So it involved me working at this internship in DC and being depressed one day and deciding to take 2 international hitchhikers to North Carolina.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And were you filming them, or how did this?
No, I wasn't filming them. The thing is, so what happened was I was in the GW housing.
Okay.
Right, and my friend across the hallway, he had a balcony, and we would drink and smoke and talk on that balcony. And one of the days, I looked up, over the balcony, and looked directly up, and I saw this really, really beautiful South Asian woman looking down at me, and she talked to me. She was like, "Hello," and I'm like, "Hello." We struck up a conversation from 3 floors down or 3 floors up, and she's like, "We're having a party up here, and you want to come up?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I go up to the party, and I'm realizing at this party there's a lot of it looks like a UN.
Right. So it's a mix of people and different backgrounds, ethnicities.
Yeah. There was a guy from Brazil named Fernando. There was a girl from Colombia. There was people from Thailand. And I'm realizing that this was a fellowship through the Department of Transportation to bring in 20 international filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, to America for 6 weeks.
Wow.
Right? Exactly. It was a very odd experience.
Right, so you're just looking over your balcony and you just meet these amazing people who are doing that. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So I'm here, and then I'm talking to the girl Kim, who's this wonderful South African. She's South Asian,
right?
So that means she's South Asian by descent, but she lived in South Africa.
Right.
So I'm talking to this girl Kim, and all of a sudden, the Brazilian guy Fernando comes up behind Kim, and she's like, "Kim," or Kim. I mean, Fernando is a very hairy man, and he's very Brazilian.
Right.
He would see a person, he goes, "Alex, my friend, how you doing?" Right, and it was very lightning but very foreign at the same time. Right. So he pushes Kim, and it's just we're going hitchhiking tomorrow, right? We're going to this hippie colony.
Okay, right? This story's amazing. This random experience and all this happening, but okay, keep going.
Right. and I overhear this. I'm like, "You going to hitchhike in America?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna go to West Virginia or somewhere." I didn't know where the hell they were going, and in this process of trying to talk them down from hitchhiking in America,
right?
He was like, "No, I've hitchhiked from Luxembourg to Hungary or something like that," which is supposedly a very crazy trip. It's I can't let you do that. I can't let you hitchhike from here to wherever you're going. So I'm like, why? The weekend's coming. Why not just postpone it a day, and I'll drive you to wherever you want.
Right. Okay.
Right? So I ended up driving them to North Carolina, Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
Right? In the process, we got stopped by the cops. We almost had to like just pitch a tent in the middle of like Asheville, North Carolina, because we almost didn't have housing.
Wow.
Right. When we got stopped by the cops, it was a dare cop, and Fernando had a small gram of weed on him.
Yeah, it's like a crazy adventure.
It was a very, very crazy adventure. And at the end of it, like in the middle of it, they're talking. Fernando was talking about his job, his life. Kim was she was 23 at the time, and she was talking about growing up in apartheid, right, and seeing that change in society, going from being black to an actual individual. And Fernando, his job was to go into these favelas, which are slums.
Yeah, the slums of Brazil. Right.
The slums of Brazil, and teach kids art to give them a way out of the slums.
Okay.
Right, so he.
What forms of art did he teach them? Just
like film and
okay.
writing and visual arts. But he had this one story where he was walking to work, and all of a sudden his coworker calls him. He's like, "Where are you? Like, I need to pick you up." And his coworker picks him up, and in this courtyard in this favela, right beside the school, right, as they parked and they're walking to the school, he noticed this really horrific smell and this shopping cart on fire with 2 dead bodies in it. Yeah. So he would see these like horrific events on it, like on a semi like usual basis.
Right.
Right. And then we had this conversation. We were having these conversations. At this time, I really wanted to change the world. You know, I was like a bleeding heart liberal.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted international politics to be like my thing. But I ended up realizing that I have these 2 individuals. We're going on this crazy adventure, right? Serendipitous things are happening. It's just wonderful. At the end of it, I ended up finding out that Fernando and Kim, Fernando who's 28, Kim who's 23, Kim with a boyfriend of 2 years, Fernando with a girlfriend of like 8 years. Right. In this 6-week fellowship that they've been together, they have fallen in love.
Oh my goodness. It's like more and more plot lines. Okay.
Right? They fall in love with each other.
Okay.
And it's just like they had like this companionship or like this desire for each other that they could not release.
And they're both like filmmakers and stuff?
Yeah, they're both like filmmakers.
So they have a similar interest as well.
Yeah.
Like obviously other experiences that brought them closer.
So I'm like sitting in this car like driving. Also, I let Kim drive once, which was like a really dumb idea.
Yeah.
Because in South Africa, they drive on the opposite side.
So that's just like...
We almost like died like 4 times. It was
right.
It was amazing, but like you can't really go through one of those types of experiences and not be like, huh, this is meaningful.
Right.
Right. You cannot like you have to. It's like this is meaningful. And I remember one of the things that Kim had always said. Was if you want friends like this and like experiences like these, make friends, like be a documentary filmmaker.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Because you felt like meeting those people, they really showed you what filmmaking could be and what it could open you up to.
No, they not really. It's just like okay, I'm not Christian at all. I'm slightly spiritual, but this was like a sign from the heavens, like telling me like, hey, you should do this.
Yeah.
Right? At a time where I was at like in despair, and a time where I was questioning like, do I want to continue doing nonprofit work? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Right? I had this like experience that was life changing. You know?
So was this like one of your summers in between?
This was the summer of 2010.
Okay, so you were going to be a sophomore or a junior?
I was going to be a junior the next year.
Okay.
Right. And at that time, I had dabbled in some film work.
Okay.
Right. One of the reasons that Kim said that you should be a documentary filmmaker is because we started talking about film and like just like random stuff like the Kuleshov effect and like and like it just stuff like it. It just like it takes on analysis of film. Because I taken some film courses beforehand. I took motion picture fundamentals in my sophomore year in 2009.
Okay.
And motion picture fundamentals is like the the main prerequisite to take any type of courses, that or black and white photography
right.
at Pittsburgh Filmmakers. And basically it'll just teach you the basics of, you know, what does the camera do, right? What's the history of photography and moving images,
right?
Right? Like what is a shutter? What is an aperture? Right? How do you do exposure? And they'll make you shoot a Super 8 film and a film digitally, and they'll have you do a black and white photography project.
Okay. And do you remember what movies and stuff you made back then, or I know
they were horrible.
They're bad.
They were really bad. I mean, I still have my black and white photography project there, like in my room because I really like it. But the Super 8 film I entitled Stress, and it was just basically me running around with in a camera. It was horrible. It was really bad.
I feel like most people's beginning film projects are always a little rough.
Yeah.
But so then you took those classes, then you met Kim and Brando and all of that.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, did you take more film classes? Did you? Is that when you decided, okay, I want to have also a film major as well as sociology?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was in the process of me trying to convince my Asian parents that that film is okay, that I should go into film, and I have no idea how the hell that I got that through to them, and they allowed me to take film as a major.
Yeah, I feel like I can definitely relate to that. I'm also interested in the film field, and I know many parents, sometimes foreign parents or other parents as well, they might say what are you going to do with film? How can you make it? What advice would you give to students that maybe feel like the film industry isn't a concrete or job that you could reach? What would you say to them?
It isn't concrete though.
Right.
Right? So it's very abstract, and it's not like being a doctor or a lawyer or a physical therapist or a veterinarian or an engineer where these things have set paths.
Right.
Within film or any type of art or creative degree, there is no clear path. And I will have to say, my sister, she's a cardiologist veterinarian, right? And that's very impressive. She helps run a bear sanctuary in Washington State.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Right. So she's an amazing person in itself, and she approached me one of the days when I went to visit her. This was a month ago. She's like, I actually, and this really touched me. I actually am really impressed and by your willingness to go out in the world without a set path.
Yeah.
Right. That's hard.
It is hard.
Right. Medical school and vet school is hard, but it's hard in a different way. If you're able to stick it out, you'll be able to do something afterwards. All right. Within a documentary film, within creative film, within visual arts, within graphic design, right? You have to make a niche for yourself. You have to make people want you.
What tools did you use to make sure that you were in a place where you had a job after college? Did you have an internship, or did you make a lot of your own production? And what was your niche in undergrad, at least? What did you focus on?
I had no niche in undergrad, and I rather I'm still finding my niche in postgrad.
What advice would you give to people who are undergrad still searching, even if they haven't found their niche? I mean, I'm sure there's some things you could offer to help them be ready to be able to have a job in WQED or other places.
You want to be seen as the most dependable person in the room,
definitely,
right? Or in the building. Right? And if you're the most dependable person in the building, then people are going to ask you for more favors, and they're going to rely on you more. And if they rely on you more, you have more pull or leverage or likability.
Okay, so organization, dependability, and it seems kind of understanding who you are as a person, knowing what traits you need to work on and stuff like that.
I mean, that's applicable to any type of job.
Right.
By knowing yourself as a person, in the art of war, right? So Sun Tzu's Art of War, right? He talks about how to defeat an opponent, right? And one of the first rules of the Art of War is know thy enemy. The second rule of the Art of War is know thyself.
Right.
Right. Because if you know that enemy, if you know the enemy and all his capabilities, or all his capability, or all her capabilities, or all the capabilities of your enemy, and you know all the limitations and weaknesses and strong points of yourself, then you are able to match yourself up in a perfect situation where you will defeat your enemy. Another piece of advice I would give any type of undergrad is never stop thinking about your craft. Right? If you want to be the most amazing cinematographer the world has ever seen, then be the most amazing cinematographer that the world has ever seen, and make that your fucking life.
Right.
Make that your life. Right? Always try to produce as much work as possible. Like even if like halfway through it you realize it's going to be like other crap.
So
right? Finish those projects regardless of whether like you like them or not.
And I just had a couple more questions just about your Pitt experience. Like, what did you do to like be able to produce things, and like what tools did you feel like you had at Pitt to be able to produce things for your portfolio later?
At Pitt particularly, there's UPTV like always.
Okay.
UPTV is always going to be there, and they have equipment. Right? Okay. They have cameras that you can use. Right? They have facilities, and there's like one of the biggest facets of UPTV and its benefits is the fact that you can meet like-minded or not like-minded people in your field, in your interest field, that you can either connect with, network with, make good friends with, or just like shoot ideas around.
It's nice having that community of people who are also passionate or just interested in the film industry as well. So.
Exactly. You get to experiment. Another Pitt resource, but not necessarily directly to Pitt, is I would say Pittsburgh filmmakers.
Yeah.
Right? You can take Pittsburgh filmmakers classes at your leisure for credit through Pitt. Right?
And they have those production courses as well.
Yeah, they have those production courses. They will force you to experiment. They will force you to produce. They will force you to deal with deadlines.
Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with us. Is there any last advice you want to give to Pitt students who are interested, whether it's directing, producing, writing, just one more take-home thing?
Practice. I mean, like it's stupid and cliched, and I'm just trying to take my own advice, but practice makes perfect. Right? If you're a musician, you practice. If you're a cinematographer, you practice. If you're a writer, you're going to write a bunch and practice. Right? Not everything needs to be perfect. If it exists, it's more perfect than it is when it was your idea.
Thank you so much, Alex, for coming in and telling us all your stories and sharing your wonderful advice. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, and thank you guys for watching.